Rothschilds. Meyer Amschel Bauer was born in Frankfurt, Germany on February 23, 1744. The son of a man who had to surreptitiously sell his stock in trade, fine silk cloth, due to the widespread anti-Semitism in that region, Meyer studied to become a rabbi. But the death of both parents forced him to leave rabbinical school, and Meyer found work as an apprentice at a banking house. He was quick on the uptake and eventually rose to the position of court financial agent to William IX, Hesse-Kassel's royal administrator. He cemented his bonds to William by aping his employer's interest in Freemasonry, as William was a prominent member of that secretive society. Meyer also ingratiated himself by finding ancient coins and selling them to William at knockdown prices. Meyer's influential client list grew with the addition of the Thurn und Taxis family, which administered a courier service throughout the Holy Roman Empire. While in their employ, Meyer learned that advance information gained through the couriers can lead to wise investments and great profits. He also learned how vital it was to guard this information, seeing how the Thurn und Taxis family wrote all of its correspondences in a code called Judendeutsch, which was German written in Hebrew characters. Meyer set a pattern that his family would follow strictly, doing business with the reigning houses of Germany and later Europe. It paid off when Britain needed troops to fight rebellious colonialists in America. The British government paid William IX a large amount of money to provide Hessian soldiers for this duty, and he gave this money to Meyer to make investments for him. According to many accounts, Meyer used it to establish instead his son Nathan as head of the London branch of the family banking business. He repaid William in time, but this money established the Rothschild fortune, providing Nathan with cash and prestige. According to Rothschild biographer Niall Ferguson, Nathan's entree to British royalty came as a result of his father purchasing the outstanding debts of George, then Prince Regent, and soon to become King George IV, and his brothers. Ferguson added that the Rothschild influence continued throughout all subsequent generations of British royalty down to Queen Victoria's husband, Prince Albert, and his son. England's politicians also were involved with the Rothschilds, including John Russell, William Gladstone, Benjamin Disraeli, Arthur Balfour, and Randolph Churchill, father of Winston Churchill. According to Nathan's own boasts, it took him just 17 years in England to increase the original £20,000 his father gave him to £50 million, which would be equal to many billions of dollars in today's currency. By 1815, Nathan had become the principal financier for the British government and the Bank of England. The Rothschilds took control of the Bank of England through an extraordinary gambit. Meyer Bauer had changed his name to Rothschild, which meant Red Shield, around the time that Nathan arrived in London in 1804. It was taken from the red shield emblem on the home of his ancestors, who lived in the Jewish ghetto section of Frankfurt. The name change almost definitely was intended to fend off the anti-Semitism then raging in Germany. The Rothschilds also used non-Jewish agents for the same purpose. But the Rothschilds certainly were unashamed of their Jewish heritage, as evidenced by the family's devout observance of Jewish traditions. The Rothschilds donated large amounts of money over the years to Jewish causes and may well have been instrumental in establishing the State of Israel. But they did not take offense when J.P. Morgan made several anti-Semitic remarks in public, as they probably knew that he was camouflaging his deep and profitable connections to them. There was a similar connection between the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers. Meyer's own sons followed Nathan's lead, establishing themselves and the Rothschild business interests in several European nations. Jacob, the youngest son, who preferred to be called James, entered the Paris banking business in 1811, while Solomon established himself in Vienna and Karl in Naples. A tremendous and rather secret banking empire was built under the noses of European royalty and political power brokers with their frequent cooperation. In a short time, the Rothschilds exerted an extraordinary influence on European policies and history. This influence bled into the United States, although much more covertly. The Rothschilds quickly learned how to work both ends of a situation for their own profit. A perfect example is that of Napoleon Bonaparte, who refused to take loans from the Rothschilds and established his own Bank of France. This worked until Napoleon's defeat at Leipzig, which resulted in his exile to the island of Elba in the Mediterranean. When he returned to France in 1815, he had no choice but to borrow £5 million from Nathan Rothschild in order to raise and pay a new army to fight the British and Prussian forces under Wellington and Blücher. Nathan took the opportunity to smuggle large sums of gold to Wellington, equipping his army and helping him to score the final defeat of Bonaparte at Waterloo. News of this victory was carried to London by Rothschild couriers, arriving a full day ahead of Wellington's own announcement. Nathan used this intelligence to his advantage, feigning disappointment and ordering the sale of his stocks. Investors, assuming this meant Wellington had been defeated, sold their stocks and plunged the market. Then, Nathan ordered his own agents to buy up a large portion of Britain's debt for much less than its true value. Quote, "It was the best business I have ever done," boasted Nathan later. This would lead to Rothschild dominance of the Bank of England. The power and fantastic riches acquired by the Rothschilds allowed them to receive titles of nobility from indebted royal families and governments during the 19th century. The title Dey became part of the family name of the French Rothschilds in 1816. The Austrian branch in 1882 became barons, and Nathaniel Rothschild, grandson of Nathan, became a British baron in 1885. With banks in nearly all the Western nations, the Rothschilds increased their wealth by financing Cecil Rhodes in his quest to monopolize the diamond and gold mines of South Africa. In America, the Rothschilds financed the Harrimans and Vanderbilts in their railroad holdings and Andrew Carnegie's steel industry. The family's control of J.P. Morgan became obvious when Morgan died, and his will revealed that he owned only 19% of the Morgan companies. The Rothschilds were the majority owners of those firms, basically casting Morgan in the role of their employee. In modern times, the Rothschilds have managed to keep a low profile in the popular media, perhaps because they have some financial control of certain mainstream broadcast and print outlets. The family name appeared unhappily on the media radar in 1996 when chairman of the clan's empire, Amschel Rothschild, allegedly committed suicide. Reportedly uncomfortable with his role in the banking concern after being forced into the family business by his father, Lord Victor Rothschild, Amschel didn't manage well. The firm lost $9 million in the year before Amschel's death, according to reporter Sally Bedell-Smith. Amschel's lifeless body was discovered in his Paris hotel room, apparently having hung himself by his terry cloth robe belt from a towel rack that was just 5 feet above the marble floor. Quipped a reporter, hanging himself could not have been easy for a man 6'1". Amschel left no suicide note, and the police report bypassed the usual channels and went straight to the French Minister of the Interior in deference to the supposedly publicity-shy family. Hardly a word of this suspicious suicide appeared in the mainstream media, despite the prominence and power wielded by this man. This could be another clear sign of how much control the Rothschilds exercise over the news we receive. The international scope of the family empire continues to grow. Rothschild influence over the Nomura banking house of Japan began with the relationship between that bank's founder, Tsuneo Okumura, and Baron Edmund de Rothschild, who continues to be called the father of modern Israel. Today, the most visible member of this banking family is David de Rothschild, who is known worldwide for his Live Earth environmental program. Hailed as the new global religion, Live Earth combines the hip rock concerts with the fallacious notion that humanity is solely responsible for global warming, ignoring the scientific fact that the sun is the single greatest influence on rising global temperatures, as well as on temperatures in the entire solar system, which are also rising, and that the much richer plant life on Earth in the distant past required much greater levels of carbon dioxide. The movement is pushing for population reduction and a worldwide carbon tax. Rothschild admitted in an interview with Alex Jones that there is a lot of money to be made in the global warming arena, seemingly the new family interest. But the basic credo of the Rothschilds has remained the same. The family patriarch, Meyer Rothschild, stated it clearly: "Permit me to control the money of a nation, and I care not who makes its laws." In 1837, America had no central bank, no national debt, no inflation, owing to the policies of President Andrew Jackson. This made the young nation a sore point and an inviting target to international bankers who wished to find profits in the New World. For this purpose, Amschel Rothschild dispatched a representative named August Schoenberg to America, his arrival coinciding with the retirement of the irksome Jackson. Schoenberg changed his name to August Belmont and set to buying American government bonds with no clear source of personal capital. Eventually, he opened what would become one of America's largest banking houses, August Belmont and Company. Belmont took advantage of the U.S.-Mexico War, which began in 1846, by purchasing more bonds. This gave the Rothschilds investments in a wide variety of American businesses: railroads, banks, gold, industry, cotton, and tobacco. With some of the profits, Belmont made generous contributions to the Democratic Party, which led to his appointment as U.S. Representative to The Hague between 1853 and 1857. He cemented his social position by marrying the daughter of Commodore Matthew Perry, and later became president of the American Jockey Club, owing to his role in bringing thoroughbred racing to the U.S. Belmont Park in New York still bears his assumed name. Prior to this, in 1849, Alphonse Rothschild arrived in New York to see about opening a permanent family banking house there. Alphonse was duly impressed with America as the cradle of a new civilization, but he was overruled by James and Lionel Rothschild in opening a family bank. The Rothschilds continued doing business through intermediaries like Belmont and later the Morgans, Harrimans, Carnegies, and Vanderbilts, garnering profits, increasing investments, and awaiting an opportunity to make a bold move. That opportunity arrived in 1861 with the opening shots of the American Civil War, which we will discuss at a later time. If you have been enjoying this series, please consider tipping your show host. By mail, it can be sent to Jake Morphonios, P.O. Box 1333, Kernersville, North Carolina 27285. Online, you can make a one-time donation at paypal.me/endtimesnewsreport. Or to sign up as a monthly sponsor of my work, go to patreon.com/endtimesnewsreport. Patrons of $5 or more per month gain access to exclusive content available only to Blackstone insiders. Thank you all for watching. For Blackstone Intelligence, I'm Jake Morphonios.